Can we please settle down, and colleagues by the door, if you can clear the door, please. All right, I request everyone to stand as we receive the Honorable Minister of COGTA, Umhlonishwa uVelenkosini Hlabisa. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. May we please remain standing as we take the national anthem. Thank you. We may be seated. The Honorable Minister of COGTA, Mr. Velenkosini Hlabisa, the Chairperson of the Municipal Dermacation Board, Ubaba Manyoni, the Chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission, Ubaba Umwepia, other board chairpersons, the Chairperson of the COGTA Portfolio Committee, Dr. Mkize, political parties, DGs, DDGs, CEO of MDB and other CEOs, municipal managers, mayors and councillors, ladies and gentlemen, and all the officials, good morning, Sanbonani Molweni. A little bit tense. Much better. Yeah, you know, it is un-African when someone greets you and you don't respond. But I understand because in Gauteng, you pass people and you don't greet. And for us in KZN, when you pass people, you greet them, they respond. So Sanbonani, Dumelang. Okay, I wish I can go on and on, but because of time, I can't. But we'll proceed as the time goes by. My name is Khanyi Sowalaza. I work for the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. And for my sins, I've been asked to lead the program today. And I hope by the end of the program, you'll realize why I was taken from Peter Maritzburg while some of you are around here. You could have just walked to this event, you know? Right. Welcome. We are ready to get started. One of the things that we can appreciate about the 2024 local government election is the change of how things are done, and us being landed into what is now called a government of national unity. And already we are anticipating more exciting results in the 2026 local government elections. And we are now coming to an end of a very thorough process that the MDP had done. I know some of the sessions that they had, the emotions were so high as part of the ward delimitation process, but we appreciate that that journey has taken us to here. We're now going to start to work towards the local government elections. I was actually thinking over the past few days that recently the by-elections are so meaningful than they ever been in history, that we get to know about by-elections across the country, but previously it wasn't the case. So today's work is very, very important because it begins to elevate and profile the importance of wards, and those wards are going to determine who is going to be leading our municipalities. Just for our house rules, before I call on the next speaker, if you want to relieve yourself, unfortunately you cannot send anyone, you have to do it yourself. As you exit the door, to my left, up the stairs, that's where the rooms are prepared. Unfortunately, there are signs of males and females. And that xenophobia didn't come with me. You blame the hotel for it. I know at home we're using the same, but here it's separated. And maybe it's because of the 16 days of activism, you will deal with the hotel management. But males must go to the other side, females the other side. That's how the hotel prefers things. We all have our cell phones, and we're quite hectic this morning. If you may please keep it on silent. And if you have to take a call, you can then leave silently. On the tables, the attendance registers that are put there, we urge you to please sign it. Now, I know each of the attendance registers, is, you can overlook it. But one of the things you may remember now with Mahlanga Commission, you may be called to answer 10 years later that you were in this event, and attendance register may not agree. So please make sure you fill in the attendance register and you notice the person next to you. Because the time when you get to that commission after 10 years, you may be asked, who was sitting next to you? And what was the color of the suit of your program director? So just to be on the safe side, make sure the attendance register is filled in. Make sure you talk to your neighbor, at least just for future. You may never know. Right, I'm now going to call upon Mama Gabi Gumbi Masilela, a board member of the Municipal Dermacation Board, to come and do a opening and welcome. Let's receive her with a warm round of applause. You should have told me, I feel so underdressed.
Thank you so much, Program Director. Good morning, everybody. Those who do not come from Gauteng, like the Program Director, good morning. Welcome to the sunny Gauteng. It now behaves like Cape Town. It rains in the morning and it's sunny in the afternoon, so we're getting used to it. But thank you, this day has finally come. I didn't think we would survive. Minister, we've gone through a lot. We've never understood this, but this year, when the number of people who had interest in the wards and the activities of the board, it meant a lot. So there were places where we were threatened with the beatings. It was so much fun that in some cases we never thought we would get out alive, but we had to use the cheekiness of the process by people who did not understand the process. So the experience, one day we'll tell the experience, and we hope everybody will come and listen to what we saw, because it was funny. It was fun. But I'm here to welcome all of you this morning. Special welcome to our Honorable Minister, Ubaba Velenkosini Ubulawayo. I was going to say Mtuano Mkhulu wasendlini yamangoja. Very few people. The program director may know that, but other people will know. A special welcome again to the chairperson of the Municipal Demarcation, Ubabu Thabo Manyoni, and the deputy chairperson of the MDB, Ubabe Matia Kwena Mohale, and the members of the board. A special welcome again to the chairperson of the IEC, my brother, Ubaba Omusutu Muyepia, and the deputy chairperson of the IEC, Umama O Janet Love. You're all welcome. There's a couple of people that I was going to recognize, but I don't see them. All the IEC commissioners who are present are Soba Mashinini, the previous chairperson of the IEC, and it's such an important occasion, and thank you for coming. The representatives of SALGA, I didn't see anybody I knew at SALGA, so if you're here, you're most welcome. The representative from the portfolio committee, I saw Ubabu Zwelim Kiz's name, but I don't see him here. So we are clashing with a lot of people who are not here, who confirmed that they'll be coming. But a special mention to our very exhausted, very tired, very, I don't know which adverb to use, of our staff members who have gone through the last 6-7 months of being re-educated, recapacitated, understanding, but under very strenuous conditions. And we have to say, we recognize you, we recognize the work that you did, and we're grateful that you took the people of South Africa seriously. With the people understanding what we're doing now, I think it's going to be harder and harder as we go forward. So we'd like also to welcome stakeholders from the length and breadth of our country. We have a special guest from the Bonzo Disability Group from Orange Farm. They are here representing the young people with some disabilities from the South. Everybody who is online coming to us and being with us here, but they are online, you are most welcome. I'm told this is going to be a short program, and we're very happy to do that. On that note, you're all welcome, feel welcome. Take off your jackets, take off your shoes if you want to, but feel at home. This is a very important event. Thank you very much.
Siyabonga kakhulu Mama for those words. Now that we are welcomed, I think it's proper that we do a pulse check, just to check how we are in the room. Okay, ordinarily we would do a round of introductions, but this one is the best one. Right. Please stand up if you believe that the ward delimitation process was thorough. Thank you. You may be seated. All right. So I'm checking the pulse in the room. Please stand up if you believe that wards can be better utilized to deepen democracy. All right, thank you. I could still see there's some problems here. I'm gonna have to bring my stuff. Please stand up if you believe that wards are a platform for bringing government closer to the people. Okay, the problem is with this table. Honorable Minister, we need to do something about that table and that other table. All right, thank you. And lastly, please stand if you believe that 2026 local government elections will be free and fair. Great, thank you so much. Thank you, we may be seated. Okay. So others stood across, and those ones are going to eat first. Let's then proceed with our program, but before we call on the chairperson of the MDB, we're just going to watch a short video. Afterwards, we will then invite him over to the podium. IT, are we ready? Let's go.
The MDB's mandate is derived from the Municipal Dermacation Act of 1998 and the Municipal Structures Act of 1998. Wards are delimited every 5 years preceding the local government elections, LGE. During November 2024 to March 2025, the MDB held technical consultations with municipal officials to prepare draft ward boundaries. In April 2025, the official launch for the commencement of public consultations for the process was conducted in Mpumalanga province at the city of Mbombela municipality.
Ward delimitation processes in South Africa are a building block towards free and fair and smooth elections for our country. I must indicate it has not been an easy process. We've been faced with challenges simply because in some other areas there has been a significant increase in the number of registered potential voters. In some other areas, people have settled along and across the ward boundaries, of which we had to realign and work on. I am at the moment confident that we have at least covered all the critical areas to ensure that our IEC can and then be able to work with communities in delivering elections that will be free and fair for our country.
Municipal wards serve as a fundamental building blocks of local government. They are the spaces where citizens directly engage with elected representatives and where community needs are identified and discussed.
Communities were invited to submit proposals on how their wards should be configured. During the meetings, booklets translated in all official languages, including Braille, were shared with members of the community. Communities were invited to submit proposals on how their wards should be configured. The process has not proceeded smoothly without challenges. During the robust public and stakeholder consultations, the MDB was confronted with challenges such as houses straddling two wards, ongoing debates arising using registered voters versus population, concerns about a reduction in councillors, and frustration caused by the movement of voters between voting districts. Communities also raised disputes relating to the 2024 voters' roll, issues around inaccessible voting stations, requests for a new or split voting districts, and the difficulty of managing wards with large geographic areas. Some traditional communities also expressed the desire for their areas to be combined into a single ward, even in cases where this did not meet the required criteria. Objections analyzed. Final wards determined. Final wards handed over to the IEC in December 2025 for the 2026 local government elections.
I'm proud to present and hand over the final wards for IEC to work on as they prepare for elections, working on voters' rolls and so forth. We have an app, Know Your Ward, where people can be able to check their wards and be able to go and register and make sure that they at least exercise their constitutional duty, which is to make sure that we have a democratic society that we strive for all the time. I thank you.
Thank you to all stakeholders, communities, and the IEC for your unwavering support. Together towards inclusive and transparent partial democracy.
Great. I want to do a pulse check about those who know their wards and participate in their ward activities, except to talk about them in boardrooms or social media or SAFM or Power FM. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the chairperson of the Municipal Dermacation Board, Ubaba Utabo Manyoni, on the podium. You may want to encourage him more. Already? Thank you.
Thanks very much, Baba. No, thanks. Mina, before we can even acknowledge people who are in this room and also those who are participating virtually, I want to make this plea. Please, those who are supposed to accept the handover, do so. Hi, Sylvie. But again, nonetheless, Program Director, thanks very much for the lively program that you are putting up with. But I need to be a minister to do this. But nonetheless, Honorable Minister Babu Hlabisa, really, you are very supportive, my minister, and we acknowledge your support, particularly to these two institutions. At the end of the day, we to South Africans on elections. Let me also take the opportunity to acknowledge those who were supposed to be here. The deputy ministers would have loved to support the minister in the event. Unfortunately, they could not make it. And also the chairperson of our portfolio committee, Ubabu Mkhize. Let me take this opportunity to acknowledge our chairperson, when the ticking point to normal, yours will be moving towards red. So we sympathize with you in that regard. But again, nonetheless, each job. Yes. And let me also acknowledge my commissioners from the IEC. I know you'd wish that there shouldn't be a handover for now. But unfortunately, as I indicated, each job, you must basically receive this. Or else South Africans will really have a problem with you. Let me take the opportunity to acknowledge the civil society present and those who are not necessarily in this gathering here, members of political parties, officials who are here, MISA, and also, of course, more importantly, the House of Traditional Leadership, of which we've been working with closely during these processes. Acknowledge members of the media. You need to be a little bit nicer to them sometime, you know, of course, or else they might end up asking difficult questions on matters pertaining to this.
People online, should I requesting the mic to be closer to your mouth?
We are gathered here today to witness an important milestone, the official handover of the final electoral wards to the Independent Electoral Commission. This event marks the culmination of an extensive and rigorous process that has required patience, cooperation, unwavering commitment from all stakeholders. Megabi has also indicated the challenges that we've been faced with, being held hostages and so forth, but it's part of democracy, I assume. As many of you are aware, this process has not been without its challenges, of course. Throughout the delimitation exercise, we were confronted with a range of complex issues. This included matters highlighted in the video clip you have just seen, such as the splitting of traditional areas, balancing community interests, ensuring compliance with legal mandate, and accommodating demographic changes across municipalities. Despite these difficulties, we remained steadfast in our mandate to deliver ward boundaries that are fair, transparent, and reflective of our constitutional responsibilities. It is also important to acknowledge that not all wards are being finalized today. Please take note. In KwaZulu-Natal province, there are cases that remain before the courts. We respect the judicial process and we will await finality on these matters. Once the courts have provided clarity, we will proceed to delimit the affected wards in line with the Municipal Demarcation Act and with the same diligence applied throughout the process. On that note, I wish to extend our sincere appreciation to the IEC. Your continued support and technical guidance have been invaluable. This handover marks the close of a significant chapter and enables the Commission to advance with its preparation for the upcoming local government elections. We are confident that the work completed here today will contribute meaningfully to a credible and well-administered electoral process. We also wish to express our gratitude to the Ministry of COGTA for their leadership and strategic direction. Our thanks also go to the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs for their oversight and consistently challenging us to fulfill our mandate with excellence. We are equally grateful to our traditional leaders, community representatives, municipal stakeholders, and the public at large. Most importantly, let us also acknowledge our staff members who have been performing this difficult task during this term. As we conclude, we would like to call on all citizens, like I indicated on the clip, that please familiarize yourself with the newly established wards. Understanding these boundaries is essential to meaningful participation in our democracy. We urge everybody to take the next step, verify your voting details, and make sure that you register to vote at the right time. Your voice is central to strengthening local governance and building the communities we can all be proud of to be associated with. I thank you.
All right. Now the real handover is starting.
Hayi lo mthwalo uyangisinda ngifuna ukuphana ngawo Ngupha bani? Ntate Moepa, tlo nke morwalo wa hao. I could have just sent an email with the attachment to that, and that's it. But I think it is proper for Ntate Moepa to tell South Africa's minister he must indicate the roadmap towards elections. Because as we indicated, and the minister indicated on the clip, this is just a building block towards free and fair elections. Ntate Moepa, we are handing over Lomthwalo. Thanks very much.
All right, let's give Uche, as he takes his seat, a round of applause. And let's also welcome the chair to come and do his acceptance speech. You could feel the sense of relief from Uchepesin Emanyoni as he was speaking, and the brutal compassion for the chairperson who's now taking over.
Program Director, I want to thank you and acknowledge this opportunity you provided to us. Honorable Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Minister Velinkosi Sabisa Bulawayo, thank you for being with us this morning. Chairperson of the Demarcation Board, Mr. Thabo Manyoni, I have received from you this morning something I haven't checked, but will do so. It is a great gift and it is timely. Thank you. Members of the Municipal Dermacation Board, my colleagues in the Commission, I understand that there were ministers who were meant to be present here, unfortunately are not. I want to acknowledge them in their absence. DGs and CEOs, our partners in SALGA, in various departments in government, houses of traditional leadership, media, our distinguished guests, our friends to these institutions present here today. We want to acknowledge you and thank you for being here. Today marks a significant milestone on the road to South Africa's upcoming local government elections. This is more than a ceremonial handover. This occasion demonstrates the institutional cooperation and serves as a reaffirmation of our collective commitment to ensuring that our democracy remains strong, that it is responsive, and that it talks to the needs of all of society. We receive this gift, this piece of work, this heavy load from the MDB with much appreciation. We acknowledge that determining ward boundaries is an intricate and highly sensitive process that requires balancing constitutional principles, community interests, population shifts, and municipal service delivery realities as we know them and palpably feel them every day in our land. To the leadership and staff of the MDB, we receive the outputs of your efforts with thanks. In this work, which has comparisons with a relay race, you have brought us this far in this process. We need to take the race further, and we are sure it is not for us to complete. There are others that are coming after us, and voters will indeed experience it when they do. what we are required to do is not simply a job. It is work that is sacred, that our Constitution has contemplated, and our Constitution has required of us to accomplish and accomplish well. It is also work that requires all of society. It simply can be left to one to do and let everybody else stay out of it, and they will be told of the outcome. It is in the spirit that we receive this work. Chapter 9 of the Constitution, on which the IEC finds its reasons for existence of deepening democracy, entrusts us with a profound responsibility to manage elections that are free and fair and reflective of the will of the people. This can only happen when the wards we have represent the geographic location of our voters and enables every one of them to participate as they do. This is one piece of work that all of us must never get weary of doing until it is completed. I believe it will always remain work in progress until we leave office, and others will come and do it. They too will leave office, and the work will always be there. When we work and we do this work, we must listen, we must reflect, and we must, as part of the work that we do, take into account that which our citizens, our voters, and those who express their voices through their access do. We must ensure that they do so in a manner that brings dignity to them and expresses their will very clearly. I am pleased to announce that the Electoral Commission family works on that principle, that we plan our work. When we plan our work, we'll take this into account. When we go back to the office today, those who are entrusted with this good gift I have this morning must indeed open it properly, begin to download it, and look at how the redetermined ward boundaries differ from the ones that we have currently. And in instances where they find that there have been changes, they need to highlight those changes, identify the affected voters and their communities, and allow our institution, the Electoral Commission, to then go into those communities to inform the affected voters how they were affected and to re-register them appropriately. This is work that will begin immediately. It will not have to wait for registration weekend, for example. It is work that we will be required to do as soon as we possibly can. In closing, I must say, Chairperson of the board of the MDB, that the handover of this final ward boundaries is far more than a technical exchange between our two institutions. It is, for me, a solemn transfer of trust and the very foundation on which the 2026 local government elections will be built. When the foundation is right, the building is going to stand. And I say to you, there is always a temptation to say your job is done, you now need to rest. I want to invite you that in this relay race, we will continue to be talking, we'll continue to hold hands, and we'll continue to work with you. In these times, when our democratic landscape requires renewed commitment, this moment stands as a testament of two vital principles. First, it is proof of our constitutional fidelity, you and us. It confirms that two independent bodies have, through diligent and lawful processes, upheld the mandate of fair and equal representation as enshrined in our Constitution. Secondly, this is an enabler of inclusivity. these lines that we will find when we open the gift you've given us, the lines that you have drawn following the extensive consultation process you spoke about, must serve as a definitive legal map that we will use to base our elections on, to ensure that every voter's voice is equally valued, to apply the principle of one person, one vote, one value at the grassroots level where voters will feel it the best. This transfer, Chairperson, initiates the final critical stage of our preparations, ensuring that every voter is correctly registered and that every voting district is aligned, and that we deliver an election that not only meets the standards that reaffirm the public's faith and in our democracy, but indeed causes them to realize that democracy is work in progress and we need to participate in it all the time. We thank you for this work. When we complain, we will complain openly to you. We will take you into our confidence, but we will also praise you for the things you have done. You have been a partner that we have relied on in the past, will continue to do so. Minister, we look forward to the work that we are going to discharge even as we receive this, and we stand ready to do all in our power to ensure that the upcoming elections are indeed credible, they are free, and they are fair. I thank you, Program Director.
All right, thank you so much, Chair. We will remember these words when you are having sleepless nights next year and having to call media briefings every 30 minutes. It will remind you that you had made this commitment. And I'm sure Chairperson Manyoni will be laughing at you. If he smokes a cigar, he'll be pulling it. Thank you so much. We are asked, everyone who is in the conference, to make sure that you've got your name badge. Yeah, like all of us. So if you don't have, please collect it. You know, there is something in government called fruitless and wasteful expenditure. So these things have been done for all of us. They can't go back to MDB because they amount to fruitless and wasteful expenditure. And these days, there is something called consequence management. So please, ladies and gentlemen, with all humility, just go out there, collect yours, and come back to avoid somebody else who is going to be getting a letter that says, tell me reasons why I should not suspend you. And remember the general rule, do unto others as you'd like it done to you. Please, let's do so. Thank you so much. I have pleasure now to introduce our next speaker on the podium, a son of the soil all the way from Big 5 SABC, local municipality in Khanyakude district. A leader who is recognized and appreciated, a former councillor, a former deputy mayor, and a former mayor, a former member of provincial legislature, and currently a minister of cooperative governance and traditional affairs, a role which he has embraced in the spirit of servant leadership. Importantly, ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker is married. He is married to one woman wife. Yeah, it's important. We must always, you should not assume those details. Yeah, you shouldn't. We are in a democratic state. One woman wife. And in the marriage, young men, take notes, they are blessed with 6 children. Not this laziness of these days. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on the stage the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Ubulawai.
Thank you very much, Program Director. A special greetings to the Chairperson of the Municipal Demarcation Board, Ubaba Umanyoni. Greetings to the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission of South Africa, Ubaba Umasutu Muyepa. The Deputy Chairperson of the IEC, and all the commissioners of the IEC, the entire staff of the IEC, the Deputy Chairperson of the Municipal Demarcation Board, and all members of the board, and the entire staff of the board. In absentia, the Chairperson of the portfolio, Udokotela Umkhize, our leadership of the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, SALCA, distinguished guests, the media that is doing a good job to keep the nation informed, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to address this gathering as the Municipal Demarcation Board has formally handed over the final ward boundaries to the Independent Electoral Commission. Congratulations, Babu Manyoni and your team. We understand the circumstances under which you were performing this task on behalf of the nation. And we will always count on you on all outstanding issues to get an amicable solution so that we experience a free and fair local government elections once the date has been proclaimed. Today's ceremony is a pivotal constitutional moment and a practical milestone. The conclusion of the 2024-2025 ward delimitation cycle and the commencement of the IEC's detailed operational preparations for the next local government elections. The handover occurs under the theme, Democracy in Motion, Shaping Your Wards Towards Free and Fair Elections, reminding us that credible, inclusive, and transparent elections rest on sound technical foundations and broad societal trust. The Municipal Demarcation Board has delivered both the technical rigor and the participatory approach required for this stage. And we recognize the professionalism of the IEC in receiving these wards delimitation and gearing up for the work that follows. We want to assure you, Chair of the IEC, together with all the commissioners, that as the department, on behalf of the government, we will go every mile to give necessary support to ensure that we advance and deepen democracy as we approach the next local government elections. Municipal wards are building blocks of local democracy and the everyday arena of governance. They give practical meaning to representation, ensure that councillors carry defined responsibilities for communities of roughly comparable voter sizes and help municipalities plan, allocate resources, and account for delivery. When wards are properly delimited, accountability is strengthened. Citizens know who to approach. Councillors can be held to performance, and service planning, whether for water security, sanitation, energy, roads, waste management, or human settlement, can be aligned to real communities rather than arbitrary lines. Wards are therefore not just cartographic outcomes, they are instruments for equity and inclusion, shaping how communities participate in decisions and how municipalities respond to needs. We also acknowledge candidly that demarcation is a complex exercise and that it sometimes produces unease or even unhappiness in affected areas. I just hope, Manyoni, this demarcation is not going to separate some families. Only to find that one house in the family belongs to another ward and the other one in the other ward. Or even demarcate one house, the other bedroom is in another ward and the other one another ward. We have learned from those experiences, and I'm confident going forward, this process will yield to satisfaction, although you cannot satisfy all people in totality. The Municipal Demarcation Board's process included extensive awareness raising, technical consultations, and nationwide public engagement from the education drive beginning in mid-2024 through the municipal planning sessions and April-June 2025 public meetings to the publication of drafts and the objection windows. The board also considered deferred municipal boundary cases with care. Thank you very much, Babu Manyoni and your team, for allowing objections to go its course. And we will be awaiting for the courts of law to ensure that this system, this process is finalized timeously so that we are able to comply with the outcome. It was resolved this year not to redetermine municipal outer boundaries ahead of the 2026 elections in order to maintain stability, forward delimitation, and election readiness. Yes, we know in 2031 there will be a greater change because the outcome of the white paper review on local government would result in some changes in terms of municipalities and in terms of ward delimitation, in terms of the way how they stand. But for this time around, as I've said, in order to maintain stability and to ensure that we get ready to elections, it was decided that there shouldn't be interference on the outer boundaries of the wards ahead of the coming local government elections. These are not simple choices. They require balancing community views, service realities, and legal criteria. I want to recognize communities and stakeholders who participated constructively, and I appeal, especially where there are still concerns remaining, to our traditional leaders, our councillors, our political parties, the civil society, to help socialize the new wards and to channel objections and adjustment through lawful processes. Discontent must never tip into disenfranchisement or disruption. We have a shared responsibility to protect free and fair elections and the stability of our communities. Where there are discontents or dissatisfaction, we as a government, all stakeholders, we will be on board to engage, to find a common ground, to ensure that we have a free and fair elections where everybody is allowed to participate. The handover today has triggered several critical downstream tasks for IEC. The chairperson of the IEC has indicated briefly. First, the IEC must align its network of approximately 23,000 voting districts with the new wards as handed over today, communicating and where necessary, re-registering affected voters so that everybody is registered in his or her new ward of residence as per the new delimitation. Second, the IEC must secure and confirm venues for registration and voting, plan logistics for staff and materials, and address accessibility for persons with disabilities and for remote and rural communities. Third, it must undertake a thorough communication, combat misinformation, and ensure that citizens understand the timelines, registration requirements, and voting procedures. And finally, this process triggers IEC to prepare for special voting, party registration, and candidate nomination processes, and set out the election timetable once the date has been proclaimed. All of this work is anchored in the constitutional requirement that municipal council serve for 5 years and that elections be held within 90 days of the end of that term. The current term expires on 1 November 2026. Elections, therefore, must be held between 2 November 2026 and 30 January 2027. Our consultations with the IEC are already underway, and we will proclaim a date that safeguards stability, fairness, and operational readiness. I urge all eligible South Africans to register and to vote in the ward of their residence. The government has put in place comprehensive coordination to support the election. The Interministerial Committee on Municipal Elections, with its technical structures, meets regularly to ensure readiness across the system. The Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster is also engaged to ensure peaceful, lawful, and safe electoral processes, including the early warning, risk assessments, protection of infrastructure, and rapid response capabilities where needed. We are also working closely with Home Affairs to ensure identity document availability and data integrity, with the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies and GCIS to amplify accurate information. We are also working together with the Department of Basic Education and the Department of Higher Education and Training to align calendars and minimize disruptions, and with statistics from South Africa and National Treasury to underpin planning and fiscal prudence. You will all agree, elections taking place in November has a great potential of disrupting examinations. Elections taking in December will be difficult. Elections taking place in January, political parties will become Father Christmas when they do door-to-door elections. Now, it's a difficult time upon which a date must be considered. That is why I indicated all the departments involved with which we are doing the consultation to ensure that we arrive on a date that will not be a difficult one from any sector of our community. I hope, and also the discussion we have just held in this morning, that going forward in 2031, we will need to begin an engagement to find a way of moving the elections around this season, because it is just not conducive in any way. These arrangements will be maintained with discipline throughout the year of 2026, so that operational tasks from voter education to logistics, from security deployment to results management are executed without compromise. Beyond the mechanics of elections, this handover invites us to reflect on the future of local government. Our mandate as cooperative governance and traditional affairs is to make every municipality work. That requires stabilizing administration, strengthening governance and financial management, and professionalizing the sector. We are reviewing the white paper on local government to refresh policy, clarify roles and responsibilities, and align funding models with realities on the ground. We are advancing merit-based appointments where cadre deployment should come to an end. We are advancing robust consequence management and ethical leadership, because it becomes difficult to introduce consequence management to a cadre, because a cadre will report you somewhere. That is why what is interesting, all political parties in the GNU who are governing the local government space, we have all agreed that come 2026 local government new term, the deployment must be based on merit, nothing else. The deployment of political leadership must meet certain competencies. We may not prescribe a degree or a diploma, but a person must be competent enough to comprehend the annual financial statements, to comprehend the report by the Auditor General and see what needs to be done. Whether he has a diploma or a degree, but competency must be there. We all agree at a government level that in order to change the local government space, the best of the material we have must be deployed at a local government space. We are deepening community participation through district development model, improving integrated development planning, and ensuring that ward-based planning is tethered to the communities defined by the new boundaries. And we are honestly confronting the challenge of coalition instability by pursuing legislative reforms that promote continuity, accountability, and service delivery while respecting democratic outcomes. You are all aware, the city of Johannesburg, if it was a country, it would have been a big joke for having more than 5 mayors in a period of about 3 years. We can't afford to have such going forward because there is no proper planning, there is no continuity, and we are just hopeful that the current mayor and the administration of COJ will finish the remaining period to ensure that a successful handover is done when the term comes to an end. That is why we are vigorously pursuing the coalition's bill that will regulate the vote of no confidence and how people should be deployed to key positions to ensure that there is stability and accountability at a leadership level. All of this work is anchored in the principle that municipalities exist to serve communities through reliable services, transparent governance, and responsive leadership. We are also mindful that municipal performance depends on infrastructure and on resilience. Many municipalities face water insecurity, sanitation backlogs, load constraints, and aging roads together with public facilities. Spatial inequalities still persist in our communities, with settlements and traditional areas sometimes sprawling behind the capacity of single ward to encompass them in a manner that meets the norm derived from the registered voters. In delimiting wards, the Municipal Demarcation Board took into account the identifiable boundaries and avoided community fragmentation as possibly as they could, and kept ward voter numbers within 15% of the municipal norm. This was a technical work done with profound social implications, and it intersects with planning for clinics, for schools, for pressing, policing, waste sites, and emergency services. As we implement the new wards, we must ensure that ward committees are capacitated updated to reflect the new geography. In turn, fiscal choices must continue to hold down recurrent costs, such as increases in councillor numbers, so that scarce funds flow to the infrastructure that citizens can feel and trust. I want to thank the Municipal Demarcation Board, the entire staff, for the good work that you did despite the difficult circumstances that you met. I want us to give you a round of applause for the work that we have done. It was interesting to know that despite the challenges, you maintained transparent engagement with clear communication, which produced the information that we are going to be working on going forward. The board's public announcements, provincial gazette notices, and objection processes have given South Africans meaningful ways to engage with draft wards, and the decision to stabilize municipal outer boundaries ahead of the next elections. Likewise, the IEC's road to the 2026 local government elections communication has helped stakeholders to understand, or rather will help the stakeholders to understand the sequence and dependencies from the publication of councillor formula and MEC determinations to ward delimitation, and finally to election preparations. In the months ahead, this clarity will remain essential. Municipalities, SALCA, and traditional leaders must collaborate with IEC field teams, open public facilities for registration events, and support communication in all official languages. We must also safeguard the information environment. Elections worldwide increasingly face the risk of disinformation and coordinated attempts to undermine trust. Our approach is to communicate early and often, publish timetables and procedures early, and give correct inaccuracies quickly, and design acceptable pathways for citizens to verify information from or not through trusted solutions. The IEC's preparations include public education, voter registration drives, and transparent processes for capturing and auditing results. The upcoming elections, I know IEC is aware, is going to be the survival of the fittest. It is going to be a heavy elections where councillors will be disputing results and say, I won, having not won. And we are confident, Chair of the IEC, that the management of the process from the beginning of the year, communication, ensuring how people can verify information will be key in empowering the citizens not to be misled. I want to continue by saying, as I have said, the IEC's preparation will include public education, voter registration drives, and transparent processes for capturing and auditing of results. These are complemented by the IMC's coordination with communications entities to amplify truthful information, and with law enforcement to address unlawful conduct. Our goal is simple: an election in which the rules are known, the processes are transparent, and the results are accepted by all parties in good faith. At the heart of these arrangements is a commitment to inclusion. We want every eligible South African, young, old, urban, and rural, in dense metros and in distant villages, to be able to participate. That requires accessible voting station, transparent transport and safety planning, accommodation for persons with disabilities, and communications that reach the hard to reach. It requires that traditional leaders and ward committees must mobilize participation respectfully and lawfully. It requires that municipalities undertake ward-level dialogues on service priorities so that the mandate conferred in 2026 translate into delivery in 2027 and beyond. And it requires that parties must put forward candidates of integrity and competence who are ready to govern in the public interest. We must remember too that elections are a means, not an end. The end is functioning municipalities that fulfill constitutional objects of local government, that is democratic and accountable local governance, sustainable provision of services, social and economic development, a safe and healthy environment, and community involvement. Wards help us organize that work. Elections renew the mandate to do it. If we keep this in sight, the months ahead will not be defined only by dates and logistics, but by a renewed social compact at the local level between communities, councillors, officials, and partners to fix what is broken and build what is needed. That compact must be grounded in the district development model, informed by sound data and driven by relentless execution against plans. Allow me, Program Director, to express gratitude to all role players, municipal players, planners, the administrators across the 9 provinces, traditional leaders who opened space for dialogue, civil society organization that enriched the process, and communities that participated with seriousness and care. I also want to thank the portfolio committees of Parliament for their oversight engagement and the provincial COCTA MECs for diligently applying the councillor determination formula so that ward delimitation could proceed timeously. This level of coordination across spheres and institutions is what the Constitution envisages and what citizens expect of us. As Minister, I undertake that the proclamation of the election date will follow due consultation with the IEC and the President, and the date will be set in a way that protects the integrity of the process and respect the country's educational and institutional calendars, as I said. Once the date proclaimed, the timetable will be published, and all stakeholders will be expected to meet their obligations with discipline and transparency. We will maintain the momentum of the Interministerial Committee, keep communities informed, and ensure that the preparatory milestones are met on schedule. Let us therefore use this handover as a springboard. Today, we mark the completion of a demanding cycle of ward delimitation. Tomorrow, we are going to intensify preparations for voter registration, for community awareness, and the practical logistics that bring millions of citizens to voting stations. If we execute faithfully the 2026-2027 local government election will renew local democracy with legitimacy and confidence, and every municipality will be better positioned to work for its people. As we approach the festive season, I wish each of you a safe, restful, and joyful holiday with your loved ones after this heavy work that we have done. This season invites us to reflect on what binds us together as the nation and to renew our commitment to service, dignity, and hope. May your celebrations be peaceful. May your journeys be safe. And may the new year bring strength, clarity, and unity as we continue to work building a capable, ethical, and developmental municipalities. Merry Christmas in advance and Happy New Year to you and your families. May 2026 find you ready together to deliver the kind of local governance our communities deserve. Thank you very much, colleagues.
Thank you so much. Another round of applause for the Honorable Minister. Thank you. I hope TTG Duma and TTG Naidu, you are whispering that because the Minister said next year is going to be heavy elections, you must take leave because it's going to be a marathon year for you. Thank you so much for those words, Honorable Minister. I was quite excited when you said deployment will be based on merit. And I started thinking, next time you see me, I may be a city manager of one municipality that gets clean audit. So greet me well. Yeah, you know, Honorable Minister is saying if elections are in January, we'll be meeting over Father Christmas. And I started to think of a list that I must submit when they come. So we may as well next year not join Stockfells because we know that something is coming. Quite exciting indeed. But you know, Honorable Minister, I was also thinking when you said you're hoping that the wards delimitation will separate bedrooms. And I was thinking, I'm sure many couples are praying for that. That I wish I can wake up with you in Ward 24 and I wake up in Ward 14. You know, so some people may be their prayers. Thank you so much. One of the things you must always look forward to when you attend events of MDB is that there will be entertainment. I don't know how they survive the cost containment measures, but they always find a way. And let's invite a little bit of entertainment from MDB at this particular time so that you may also leg stretch. And I hope you're ready for a bus dance a bit. Are we ready with entertainment? No, don't be shy. We won't report you to NT. what the roadmap towards the local government elections of 2026 is going to be, and I hope you are ready. Just one more song as we allow the minister to exit. Let's go. To share with us the 2026 local government elections roadmap.
Thank you very much, Program Director. And I'm going to stand on the protocol already observed. Can we put the slide? Okay, no, that's fine. I think I need the slide there. I keep looking back and I see my face, and that's not the intention. The intention is for you to see the detail on that slide that is now projecting. I think we all know, and it has become quite clear from the inputs this morning, that the election must happen between the 2nd of November and the 30th of 2nd November 2026 and 30th of November 2027. I didn't have my drink this morning, so pardon me. I won't disclose the nature of the drink I have to get the dates right, but be that as it may. The election must be held between the 2nd of November 2026 and 30th January 2027. The minister who was before you a little earlier has the statutory responsibility to proclaim the election date. He does so having consulted with the Commission, and this morning he also affirmed the fact that that consultation process has commenced. It is our sincere wish as the Commission that the date, once determined, be announced without it being proclaimed, so that all stakeholders may have good opportunity to prepare themselves and not be taken by surprise at a point where it is officially proclaimed. But of course, we can only nudge and persuade the minister and those responsible. Help us with the projection. Okay. But of course, we have to start earnestly with the preparations for the elections following today's official handover of the wards. And the first critical activity that we need to undertake is to look at the impact of the final wards on the voting districts to make determination whether those wards, final wards, encroaches on the integrity of the existing voting districts. If indeed there is encroachment, then we need to work together with the local party liaison, political liaison committees to decide how to resolve the split portions. A number of remedial possibilities are available. One, the split portion could be joined with an existing voting district, or a new voting district can be created if the numbers of registered voters justify that option. So those are some of the basic remedial options that are available in resolving the split portions. But concurrently with that work, we'll also identify voting stations to be used in the elections. And we'll do so, as I said, in conjunction with the municipal political liaison committees. So that by the time we conclude that work on the ground, which we anticipate will be completed around May next year, all voting stations would have been identified, all voting districts would have been configured in line with the new boundary set that we received today. So, in a sense, I'm trying to say it doesn't help coming to the IEC 2 weeks before an election and say there needs to be a voting station there, there needs to be a voting station there. It's already late at that point. We decide voting station in conjunction with political parties on the ground around latest April, May next year. After that effort, we will, if necessary, go into those communities and re-register the affected voters and ensure that they are registered in terms of the new delimitation set. So we'll do what we call a targeted and communication campaign in those communities. We do anticipate conducting 2 registration weekends with approximately a 4 or 5 week period in between. One probably in June, and the other at the end of July, perhaps beginning of August. This is important so that voters are given maximum opportunity to register themselves, realizing that a registration weekend is the method of registration that provides us with the greatest registration yield. Other modalities, such as online registration, are picking up, but not yet at a point where they give us as much registration yield as does registration weekends. So we'll have those two sets of registration weekends where all voting stations in the country will be open. Following the conclusion of those two registration weekends, the minister will then proclaim the election date. Give and take, July, August next year. Because remember I said, we're encouraging him to announce the date without proclaiming it. Now, this will be an opportunity for him to legally call the election. And once we have the proclamation date, the effect of the proclamation of an election date is that persons who are registered as on that day are the only ones who are eligible to participate in an impending election. So any person who registers subsequent the proclamation date may not participate in the election. Only those that are registered on proclamation day will have an opportunity to participate in an election. So what you'll hear is people who registered subsequent to the registration date and say, you see, the IEC is incompetent. I've registered, but I'm not on the voters' roll. Of course, you won't be on the voters' roll if you are registered subsequent to the proclamation date. So, okay, let me not say it. So don't say, Mamba Bolo is incompetent, I've registered. Okay. Then, thereafter, we will issue the voters' roll and publish it for public inspection, so that any person can check and confirm their registration, and if they are aggrieved by their status, they'll have opportunity to lodge an objection with the commission. Similarly, political parties will be given copies of the voters' roll with your ID numbers redacted, so that if parties are similarly aggrieved, they may then lodge objections with the commission. The commission will naturally consider those objections and make determinations as they may see appropriate. And after that, they'll instruct the Chief Electoral Officer to effect their decisions in relation to those objections. So this work around the publishing of the voters' roll, objections on the voters' roll, the consideration of the objections and the decisions related thereto will happen in about August next year. Following the determination of the objections, we will certify the voters' roll, and the effect of certification is that the voters' roll will be used as certified. Having dealt with the objections, having dealt with all the complaints, at the point of certification, we're saying it is now healthy enough to give us a free and fair elections. And no one may object post the certification point. Because otherwise, you object pre-certification, the objection is dealt with, and the voters roll is certified, but you still want to object. Otherwise, we won't get into an election. There's a amendment that tries to clarify that operational framework around the voter's role and its certification, as well as when objections may be raised. Now, an important thing is this, that the cutoff date for parties to submit candidates will be still around the month of August. In one engagement with the provincial legislature, I said if I was in a party, I would ensure that our internal parties, candidate selection processes are concluded by the end of June. So that's really the message we want to take to our political organizations, independent candidates, and so on, that have your processes concluded such that by the end of June next year, you are in a position to submit the candidates. To support an incident-free candidate nomination period, we have done workshops in all the provinces where we invited unrepresented parties, in other words, parties that are on the party register but do not have representation in a municipal council or a provincial legislature, and so on. We've done workshops for them to indicate to them what the requirements are, what they need to have ready, the types of supporting documentation they need to be preparing. So that information is out with all the prospective political parties as well as prospective independent candidates. I think the last workshop is happening today. And we will finalize the list of candidates at the beginning of September, and will open for applications for special votes. And we all know that there are two categories of special votes. Persons who will be outside of their voting districts on election day have an opportunity to vote, to apply for a special vote, and if approved, to vote on the 2 days preceding election day. And persons who are confined to homes, hospitals, and so on, those may apply to be visited at their homes. So those two will persist with those two categories of special votes. There's a bit of a caution that I think it's opposite that we raise it here. And that is a person applying for a special vote, a home visit, on the basis that they are too ill to move and so on. But when we get to the house where they are confined, they say, no, ayo usaile tropong. Yes, no, mama, you get a 6-year-old, you know, young kids are endowed with wisdom because they say the truth. My mama is a kilobutse usaile tropong. Le moemelo tlatla vota habo. You know, you can interpret for her. I also lost you. Sorry. Okay. So there is that abuse of that facility, which is really intended for persons who really are unable to travel to voting stations. Last year's, 2021, we had just under 100,000 candidates. 100,000 candidates in the municipal elections. We anticipate on this occasion, give or take, 120,000 candidates for roughly 10,000 available council seats, which means the level of competition is aggressive, it's high, and so on. I guess we're living in a constitutional state, and therefore persons can vindicate their rights by seeking a public office. Following the 2 days, following election day, we will need to have an election of local representatives to the district councils, and that we need to do before, assuming when the election happens, before offices are closed, if the election is in December or if the election is in November. But that election is run by the Chief Electoral Officer, and those results of those elections, the results of those elections are competent for the whole duration of the term. Those electoral configurations that emerge from that election must stay true for the rest of the term of the municipal council. I think that concludes where we're going following today's handover of the election. Chair, I'm not sure if I missed an important issue. Okay. The chairperson says I have not, and therefore due a salary hike.
Thank you so much, Ntate Mamabulo. Actually, there may not be a salary hike because what you did is upward delegation. And upward delegation has HR consequences. So, Chair actually saved you. Thank you so much for that. You could see we did not have enough time. We've been participating in elections, but we're hearing this level of detail for the first time. So we need more time with IEC to get this kind of an information. Thank you so much for that. Let's give him a round of applause. All right, thank you. Yeah, we need to do something about the commission's laptop. We can't have a credible organization with a laptop of this nature. Right, we are going to now get vote of thanks and closure from Miss Love. You say MS, it's difficult to be sure. Yeah, you can't be sure. But we're going to get Miss Janet Love to then offer a vote of thanks. Afterwards, colleagues, you would remember in organizations now, there has been a greatest increase of mistrust. And there is something called a risk register. Now, within the risk register, you then put up all the events that you'll be having. Now, events have been flagged in government. Now, as a result of events being flagged, they are things that are called means of verification, where you will need to indicate that for that event you need an attendance register, you need an invite, you need an agenda, you need a videography, you also need a photography of people that are there. So as Miss Love is doing a vote of thanks, please make sure that your makeup is intact, your lipstick is intact, because afterwards all of us are requested to ascend the stage for a group photo. that goes towards the portfolio of evidence to the risk register of the MDB. But you don't want, when your kids or grandkids see this photo 20 years down the line and think, was this our grandfather or grandmother? So make sure you are good for this group photo that is going to follow just after the vote of thanks, and then afterwards we can go and enjoy the refreshments. Let's welcome Miss Janet Love on the podium.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. It is afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Almost only. Aha. First of all, I wanted to convey a huge amount of thanks to our program director, who really is kind of telling us that he's from a very serious job and department, but actually has doubled up quite well as a comedian. So thank you very, very much to the program director. But I think that, ladies and gentlemen, all of you who've come from the different organizations, from our traditional leadership, there are, I understand, more than 100 people who joined us online. Members of the various organs of government, including, I understand, there are a number of people from the municipalities. I can see a couple at the back there, people from Salga. Really a huge appreciation to you, to the members of civil society who've participated in this incredible ceremony and this important process. I was with the chairperson and many of you in Mpumalanga when you were looking all very energetic, rearing to go at the start of your consultation campaign. I have to say, there are those of you who are still looking very energetic. Chairperson, I mean, I'm not sure what you're doing to inspire all these people, but clearly your job is a job that we can honestly say, not just a thank you to you, Chair, to the whole of the board, and to everybody from the MDB. It's not just a job well done, but it's a job that's hugely appreciated. If we can just give them a round of applause. I think you have combined an ability to inform the nation in a way that I think has deepened an understanding of what demarcation is about for the first time. And it really is appreciated, because when we take on the baton in the next part of that relay race, often historically we found people who haven't understood where the wards come from. I'm sure we'll still meet them. And I know that you're feeling like your job is done, but we'll send them back to you just so that you can give them a refresher. To my colleagues from the Commission and to all of you who are from the Electoral Commission who are here, I know that many of you have been working in different ways with people who have actually needed to come together to understand the demarcation process. And I know that all of you have been hoping that we would get all of the wards handed over to us today, because it does help our jobs going forward. And so ours is now the next part of the relay, and we have got the assurance, and I think we've seen a demonstration of a lot of the support that we have from collegial organizations who are here in this room and online. And that support to make the elections not only credible, free and fair, but to make them meaningful in terms of changing people's lives is something I think is what we all strive for and what we all support. So with those few words, I'd really like to appreciate and thank everybody for having made this a success. I'd like to thank our interpreter, our sign language interpreters, both of them, and also to everybody who has really been part of the organization. To the media, to everybody, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. As we are about to leave the venue, there has been a ward delimitation that has been done, and I am happy to announce that the results of that ward delimitation are that the photo shoot that is going to happen now is for the chairperson of MDB, as well as board members, and the chairperson of the IEC only. The rest of us are going to be ushered to where we will enjoy lunch. But you are more than welcome to take photos outside as much as you can, or you may wait afterwards when they finish. They just need to take a proper photo with that token that was given earlier on. But please feel free to capture the moment as you go outside. Otherwise, our program has come to an end. Enjoy lunch. You can give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you.